against Stefan Hench. Excuse me. Stefan on your left, Todd on your right. D&T versus INFECT. Let's do this. Looks like Stefan on 6. Todd, Glistener Elf. Were you expecting Noble Hierarch and Knight of the Reliquary? Wrong. Not Todd Stevens here in Legacy. Apparently Todd has a Legacy top 8 with Infect, which I did not know, actually.
Neither did I.
Yeah, here's a Mother of Runes. My kind of card right there.
Not my kind of card.
No?
Much more of a Glistener Elf.
Stevens will draw. Picked up a copy of Force of Will. This is a Brainstorm. 3 cards coming here for Todd Stevens. Become Immense, Berserk, Verdant Catacombs. Two cards will be going back here in just a moment. Stevens is able to set up what looks to be maybe a 3rd turn kill pretty easily here with some protection.
Yeah, I mean, so he's got Force Brainstorm. Those are spare parts.
Mm-hmm.
And, he looks like he has Pump Spells to shuffle back.
Yeah. Berserk gives Trample, right?
It does.
Yeah, I figured you'd know that for sure. I couldn't remember.
Because the creature is going Berserk.
It's very upset, yeah, so I guess that would make sense flavor-wise. You know what it should also give then? Rampage.
Well, Berserk came out before Rampage was a keyword.
That's unfortunate. They should make a new Berserk that gives Trample and Rampage.
Also, ooh, wow. That is quite a statement.
I'm a little surprised. Yeah, no attack there.
Well, if the Berserk gives Trample, then who cares about Mother of Runes? You just force a will to play, and then you kill him.
Oh, okay. That's a good point. There's your Force.
All right, you're dead. You're dead.
Is it over?
I mean, if he has Become Immense Berserk, yeah. It's 14. Mother Runes takes 1.
I didn't mean to insult you. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You feel.
Oh yeah.
You feel insulted. It's way more.
It's way more.
Yep.
It's not even close.
What's that card that has Rampage? Craw. It's not Crawl. It's Crawl Giant. It's Crawl Giant.
I mean, there's several in Legends.
That's the only one I ever think of, though, is Crawl Giant, because I had it when I was a kid. It costs like 3 GGGG.
Yeah.
Block. That's...
Wrathy Berserker, I think, was one of them.
We're going to become extremely immense. That resolves. And now Berserk. You're dead.
Pick up your hand of white creatures.
Yeah. White creature. Singular. We're all set. And planes. Todd Stevens going to win Game 1 here over Stefan Hench. Infect up a game very quickly over Death and Taxes. Stevens making it look easy, breezy, beautiful. As we are going to start with Stefan Hench's sideboard, see if he can tie things up here on the play for game number 2. 2 Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, 2 Path to Exile, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Council's Judgment, 2 Aethersworn Candace, 5 one-ofs, and Recruiter of the Guard, Walking Ballista, Lean and Relic Warder, Surgical Extraction, and Fairy Macabre.
So the 2 copies of Path to Exile just have to come in here. Needs more cheap removal. The Walking Ballista and the Aethersworn Candace, too, I think are nice upgrades over some of the other kind of utility creatures that Hench has in his main deck.
It's a tough matchup for Death and Taxes.
Yeah. I mean, you still have Stoneforge plus Jitte, so you have that hope. Mm-hmm. But I think defending yourself sufficiently in the first couple turns is hard to do against Infect's good draws.
Let's go to Infect now. Let's go to Todd Stevens and his 15 sideboard cards. 2 Flusterstorm, 13 one-ofs in Bojuka Bog, Caracas, Crop Rotation, Pithing Needle, Hydroblast, Necropede. That's an oldie but a goodie. Dissenter's Deliverance, Naturalized, Crows and Grip, Viridian Corruptor, Dismember, Tezzeret's Gambit. That's the most Tom Ross thing I've ever seen, along with the sideboard copy of Force Will. I bet Tom just gave him this deck list. Jace.
So I think you want to have some anti-creature and anti-equipment measures here. The 1 Needle, I don't know how much of the actual disenchant effects you want to have, although Death and Taxes has equipment plus files, so probably some amount of that. The Dismember is good here. I like the Necropede as well.
Some good options here.
Yeah.
Especially for Todd. I like what he's got going on. Of course, you get to play a lot of these one-ofs when you've got Brainstorm and Ponder and all that stuff in your deck. That's a Tom Ross School of Magic. Worked very well for the boss, T. Ross, who, we do miss. Though I got to see Tom Ross on Wednesday. I'll tell you that story in just a moment. First, let's talk about SCG Game Night. Very popular promotion. Go to StarCityGames.com/Game Night. More information. Patch just got the details.
Yeah, so every month we come out with new tokens and pins that we send to the stores that are signed up. And then the stores get to organize game night however they want to, any day of the week, any format they want. We got the September kit right in front of you right now, Garden Tendencies, and we have a few more upcoming kits to show you as well. In October, Heads of the Class, and then in November, Rise from the Nashes. Again, go to starcgames.com/game night. Find the game night closest to you in stores. If you want to get signed up for game night, contact your Star City Games in-store play representative. It is odd to me that you talk about missing Tom Ross when the two of you reside in the same city.
So I'm very busy, and he's very busy. And we also live – Seattle's a big city.
Sure.
So we live on I don't want to say we live – actually, I live on the same side of Lake Washington as he does now. So before I didn't, but now I do. And so we hung out on Wednesday. Me and the boss got dinner. First time I've seen him since like second or third time I've seen him since he moved to Seattle to work for WotC. But we had dinner and caught up. And then he asked me if I wanted to jam against Michael Majors and Dan Musser because their fourth moved away from Seattle. I need somebody to jam with. I'm never one to pass up NBA Jam, but then I was notified that it's NBA on NBC Showtime.
Oh, the old one?
I think it might be newer than Jam, but it's not the same game.
Okay.
There's some differences, but it's kind of still within the Jam mold.
Yes.
So, very rusty. Hadn't played Jam since I played Jam with like you in Columbus, like a year. Off to a tough 0-3 start. Then I figured out the buttons. Win one game. Win another game. It's best of 7, by the way.
Yeah, and by the way, in the NBA, no one has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit in a 7-game series.
That's correct.
Unheard of.
Unheard of to have happen. As here's an Ether Sworn Canonist for Stefan Hench. Win Game 6. And now we play an epic Game 7 match in which it goes to triple overtime. After double overtime, every time you go to overtime, you have to pay to play the next overtime. We ran out of quarters. So we had to beg the bartender for 4 quarters. Bartender was cool about it. And unsurprisingly, me and the boss won. Yeah. Michael Majors still mad. Still mad about it. Love you, Michael. Path to Exile. Going to take care of, or at least attempt to take care of, the Blighted Agent. That will work.
I like the Canonist a lot. I mentioned this while we were sideboarding here. Most of Stevens' flurries to win the game involve multiple spells or casting a spell with counterspell backup. Mm-hmm. Canonist cuts out all of that.
Yes, it does. And does a great job of it. And it's also a hard card for Stevens to get off the battlefield because this isn't a deck that has a lot of creature removal. Though, if you are Stevens, you would board in artifact removal because of a deck that has violent equipment.
Yeah. He should have answers to it, but it's not like, in fact, even post-board is flush with a whole lot of answers, maybe 3 or 4 cards.
So Stevens is going to play a crop rotation on the end step. Looks like he's going to go dig up an Inkmoth next. It's still going to go to the skies now. You saw Hench play a Path to Exile and then follow things up with a copy of Ether Vial. You can do that underneath the Canonist. So now we head back over to Todd. He's played his 1 spell for the turn in crop rotation. Now he'll go to his turn. Vines of the Vastwood, boy. Invigorate over there as well.
It's got Necropede.
Yeah. And it looks like he's just going to come across here for 2. Could have tried to play a pump spell. It is a little scary to do so in the face of Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah, once someone has shown Path to Exile, that means it's almost certainly coming out of the board. Mm-hmm. On top of the 4 Swords to Plowshares, you know they're already playing. So a little bit dangerous. I'm also assuming that Stevens is hoping to get the game to the point where he can kind of trap Hench with his own Aethersworn Canonist by attack you with Exalted. Now I had to make a move with a plow or a path. And then you Vines, you counter it, and you don't have to worry about a follow-up play because Hench has already played his 1 non-artifact spell, and he can't play anything else because of the Canonist.
Follow-up, Necropede.
Another classic track.
Able to play another spell, actually, too, because of Canonist is worded, but we're just going to pass the turn back. Vial's going to go up to 1 here for Hench.
I think from Stevens' perspective, I think there can be an instinct there. Yeah, you just needle the Vial. There really isn't anything too threatening that Hench can do for a Vial on 1. Mm-hmm. And if Hench presents equipment, particularly Umezawa's Jitte, then Stevens definitely wants to answer that way.
Well, here's Recruiter of the Guard. Well, that's going to resolve. Trigger, search a little something up. Curious to see what Stefan Hench is going to find here. Could search up something like a Mother of Runes. Flicker Wisp is always attractive because it flies. And for a deck that looks oftentimes underpowered in Death and Taxes, it does have some unique durability.
Well, you have a lot of good size on the battlefield, protection from colors with Mother of Runes, evasive keywords, equipment. So creature on creature usually got some play.
And there's a Wasteland, and a timely one at that. That Wasteland's going to take care of that Inkmoth Nexus.
And then in the combo matchup, you're hoping to cobble together enough Thalias and Aethersworn Canoness that you have clock plus disruption. And that recipe is usually pretty good there too. So there you go.
Gotta remember, this is the Legacy deck that won Pro Tour 25th Anniversary in the hands of Alan Wu, Ben Hull, and Greg Orange. And this was a deck that did well at that tournament. It's done well here on the SCG Tour as well, as here comes Necropede. There's your block. Stevens does have an Exalted trigger there. Perhaps Hench forgot about that and thought there might just be a trade there.
Well, he can't block with the Canis because then he loses everything.
Oh, of course. And there's a Needle. I'm going to name the Vial.
And no blocks is similarly risky because he just dies to become immense.
Mother of Rune's going to come through. Still going to name a Vial with the Needle. There's the land. And pass the turn back. So, let's go over to Stefan Hench, who picks up a copy of Caracas.
So the Necropede here, really problematic. Mother Runes can't provide any sort of defense. And if the Necropede trades off with something, then the Mother of Runes dies.
Yeah, so it is definitely causing some trouble here.
Yeah.
That is a Flicker Wisp. Going to target plains. Caracas will be the land.
And Hench is in the spot now where he's, if he trades, he loses a whole lot. If he no blocks, he's just dead to become immense. And also, what's the long-term plan?
Dissenter's Deliverance, the draw. See how Todd Stevens wants to go about using that one. And he says, you know what, Necropede? Let's go. Interesting spot. You kind of want to block a Flicker Wisp, but you kind of don't. You block a Flicker Wisp, they trade, and then Mother of Runes dies, right?
And Stevens can just move to the Nexus. That's the next threat.
Yep. Heck, Stevens could even say, I'll just pump my threat.
I think you just eat up a bunch of stuff here. Because also, I think in the sort of the macro sense, the most concerning thing here for Stevens is equipment, and specifically Umezawa's Jitte.
Okay.
So I think one of the best ways to manage that problem is just kill as many of Hench's creatures as you can. And that makes equipment off the top a lot less risky.
The Mother of Runes on its way out the door granted pro-green over to the Canonist until the end of turn. Now the Canonist is coming on in. Stevens has got a lot of life to work with, so I'm sure he's okay taking that too. Here is Dissenter's Deliverance, going to destroy an artifact. You see Stefan Hench wants to take a look at that. We can do the same. Dissenter's Deliverance is, just a little artifact killer that cycles. Nothing too crazy as there's Flicker Wisp. But it's going to just flicker a plains. Is that a Naturalize? Got a little bit of everything here at top.
Yeah, he's got to cover himself from as many artifacts as he can.
Stevens looks like he's going to fire up. Attack here. Got to be a little bit worried about a removal spell that costs 1 mana. But Flicker Wisp is going to jump in front. There's Invigorate.
Stevens still has Vines, so he can, even if the last card in Hench's hand is a removal spell, he's still fine.
It's very true. Invigorate will be played for free. Pass the turn back. Vines and Naturalize. The last 2 cards in hand here for Todd Stevens. Stoneforge Mystic, the draw here for Stefan Hench. But as we know, Todd Stevens has actually got that covered pretty well. And there'll be a trigger. You've mentioned Umezawa's Jitte many times during this match, partner, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that's what Hench is searching up, and there it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely the best card in the matchup here for Hench's side, and a lot of Stevens' sideboarding is informed by specifically this card.
The legendary artifact there from Betrayers of Kamigawa. Still good almost 20 years later, which is funny to think about.
Yep, they creatures still exist. People put them in decks, and so this card's still good.
We'll see if Hench wants to actually try to deploy the GT right now as well. And the answer is yes. Naturalize will take care of that. Stevens could win the game right now, depending on what he draws. Wooded Foothills is not it, so going to fire up here, come across for 2 Infect. Not going to use the Vines of Astwood. Going to bring Stefan Hench up to 4 Infect. Could win the game next turn as Hench will draw. Rishadan Port is actually quite a good draw.
Well, I think it's going to force Stevens to go for it here, because if he ports the Nexus, I think Stevens is a fine spot to try to respond with Vines and try to win the game.
Try to win the game, yeah. Draw a card. Well, when you draw another Vines, it makes it super easy. You now Wooded Foothills.
Now it is trivial.
Yep. Stevens going to sacrifice that Wooded Foothills, and he's on his way to 7-0, folks. As number 8 on that SCG Tour leaderboard. Former SCG Tour Player of the Year 2 is Todd Stevens.
Heads up here in this spot, you want to port on the upkeep. Not that it mattered based on Stevens' draw, but you don't want him to draw Vines and kill you.
There's your activation. Attack step here will be announced by Todd Stevens. And 2 Vines are more than enough to get the job done here. There's your Rishadan Port. Stevens will play Vines of Astwood kicked to counter that. And you throw in 4 plus 1 plus an Exalted Trigger. And that should be enough. And it is. Todd Stevens going to win this match over Stefan Hench. 2 games to 0. In fact, going to take care of Death and Taxes. And for Todd Stevens, 7-0 with a deck that I think many would not expect him to play. But hey,